Chapter 1. The Dare That Changed Everything. In the sprawling megacity of Ardentis Prime, where skyscrapers pierced the stars and neon lights wove a shimmering web across the night sky, life was a grand performance of wealth, power, and technology. The city was home to the galaxy's elite, where billionaires of alien and human descent flaunted their fortunes and influence amid a dazzling array of hovercrafts, towering hollow billboards, and endless networks of data streams pulsing through the atmosphere. Yet, beneath the glittering surface of Ardentis Prime's high society, life for most was a struggle and endless grind in cramped quarters, noisy factories, or dim workshops where old technology still bore the scars of war and neglect. Among those workshops was a modest garage tucked into the shadow of a colossal corporate tower, a place where the smell of grease and ozone filled the air, and the clang of metal on metal was the soundtrack of survival. This was the world of Michaela Ron, daughter of a mechanic whose reputation was built on his relentless work ethic, but whose opportunities were limited by the brutal stratification of galactic society. Michaela had grown up amidst the roar of engines, the flicker of diagnostic displays, and the endless puzzles of broken machines waiting for her father's deft hands. Her life was a tapestry of grease-streaked mornings, late nights spent poring over schematics, and dreams that stretched far beyond the grime-streaked walls of their workshop. From an early age, she showed a prodigious talent and uncanny ability to decipher alien tech and coax life from the most hopeless scraps. While her father worked to pay bills and keep the old equipment running, Michaela's mind soared through blueprints and starship schematics, absorbing knowledge with an insatiable hunger. Her skill was a quiet rebellion against the limitations imposed by their class and station, a beacon of hope that perhaps one day she might break free from the shadows cast by the glittering spires above. The city around her was a maze of contrasts. Above, opulent towers housed corporate magnates and alien aristocrats who danced on the cutting edge of technology and luxury, their lives wrapped in decadence and excess. Below, in the tangled alleys and factories, the working class toiled, their faces hardened by hardship yet lit by the flicker of dreams. It was in this world that fate cast a tantalizing challenge. The Catalyst Corporation, a dominant force in galactic industry and innovation, was hosting a grand exhibition showcasing the latest in starship design and engineering. It was an event reserved for the powerful and the influential, a playground for billionaires to flaunt their latest acquisitions and for inventors to demonstrate marvels of technology. Among the glittering displays stood a centerpiece, a starship of staggering size and complexity, the Celestial Phoenix, rumored to be the most advanced vessel ever constructed, boasting technology so sophisticated it bordered on the miraculous. Yet beneath its gleaming surface, the Celestial Phoenix was broken. A critical systems failure had rendered it inoperable, a fact fiercely guarded by the corporation. Attempts by the company's top engineers had failed, and the ship sat silent and immobile, a monument to both ambition and hubris. It was here that Erix Kale, a legendary alien billionaire and titan of industry, entered the story. Known for his eccentric challenges and insatiable appetite for the extraordinary, Erix was a figure who commanded attention wherever he went. Towering with an imposing presence, his iridescent skin shimmered like liquid metal, and his eyes glowed with a cunning intelligence honed by centuries of experience navigating the labyrinthine politics of galactic commerce and power. His wealth was rivaled only by his ego, and his reputation for underestimating those beneath him was a constant source of scandal and surprise. At the grand exhibition, Erix cast a dismissive glance at the silent Celestial Phoenix, and then toward the crowd that gathered to witness the spectacle. His gaze landed on Michaela, who had come with her father, invited by a family friend who recognized her talent. To most, she was invisible, a mere mechanic's daughter with grease-stained hands and clothes, but to Erix, she was a curiosity, a convenient target for a challenge that would cement his own legend. With a voice that rumbled through the hall, he issued a challenge that rippled through the crowd like a shockwave. I dare the mechanic's daughter to fix the Celestial Phoenix and make it soar again. If she succeeds, I will grant her a reward beyond imagination. Fail, and she will be forgotten like the countless others who dared to dream beyond their station. The words were meant to humiliate, to put Michaela in her place, but instead, they ignited a fire within her. The challenge was a gauntlet thrown in a world that had tried to keep her small and invisible, and she accepted it with a quiet resolve that surprised everyone, including Eric's himself. As the crowd buzzed with speculation and doubt, Michaela stepped forward, her mind already racing through possibilities. The Celestial Phoenix was a labyrinth of cutting-edge technology and ancient design philosophies, a puzzle that had defeated the galaxy's best. Yet, in her hands, it was not just a challenge but a testament to her skills, her dreams, and the hope that even the smallest among the stars could reach for greatness. Behind the scenes, Michaela's father watched with pride and apprehension. He knew the odds, the dangers of failure, and the cruelty of those who thrived on spectacle. But he also knew the strength in his daughter's eyes, the unyielding spirit that had carried her through every hardship. As the first day of the challenge began, Michaela stepped aboard the Celestial Phoenix, ready to dive into a world of mysteries, dangers, and wonders that would test not only her technical skill, but her heart and courage. The fate of the ship and her future rested on her shoulders, and the galaxy watched with bated breath. Michaela stepped onto the gleaming deck of the Celestial Phoenix with a mixture of awe and determination swirling inside her like a tempest. The ship was a marvel of alien engineering and human ingenuity fused together, its hull adorned with sleek panels that shimmered subtly, reflecting the artificial lights overhead. The interior was vast beyond anything she had ever seen, a labyrinth of corridors that wound through multiple decks, each bristling with technology that hummed softly under layers of dust and neglect. Despite its grand design, the ship's lifeblood was clearly waning. Flickering consoles, dormant engines, and silent thrusters betrayed the profound damage that had left this once majestic vessel grounded and mute. The challenge before Michaela was monumental. The Celestial Phoenix was not just a broken ship. It was a fortress of complex systems interwoven with alien circuitry and experimental power sources that pushed the boundaries of known science. As she ventured deeper, her keen eyes caught subtle signs of sabotage, twisted wires, fractured conduits, and hacked security protocols, hinting that the ship's failure was no accident, but a calculated act designed to keep its power out of the wrong hands. This discovery sent a chill down Michaela's spine. She was no longer just a mechanic tasked with a repair. She had become a player in a dangerous game involving corporate intrigue, political rivalries, and the shadowy forces that thrived in the galaxy's underbelly. Yet she was undeterred. Years of growing up in her father's workshop had taught her that even the most daunting problems could be solved with patience, creativity, and an unwavering will. She laid out her tools, connecting her personal diagnostic device to the ship's core systems and immersing herself in the flood of data that streamed into her augmented reality visor. The complexity was staggering. Every subsystem seemed to depend on the next in an intricate dance of energy and information. She was forced to delve into alien coding languages and obsolete protocols, blending her natural intuition with years of study in forbidden engineering manuals and scavenged schematics. Hours slipped by unnoticed as Michaela lost herself in the challenge, tracing faults deep within the power grids, bypassing corrupted data nodes, and stabilizing volatile reactor cores with delicate precision. Outside the ship, the crowd gathered in anticipation, their eyes fixed on the colossal vessel and the young woman who dared to challenge the impossible. Among them, Eric's Kale watched with growing fascination, his earlier arrogance tempered by a grudging respect as Michaela's progress became evident. She was methodical, innovative, and fearless, a stark contrast to the pampered geniuses who had previously failed. But the challenge was far from over. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the cityscape of Ardentis Prime, Michaela faced the heart of the ship's enigma, the main reactor chamber. The room pulsed with raw energy, its walls lined with crystalline conduits that shimmered with unstable power. The core itself was a swirling vortex of light and heat, barely contained by ancient safeguards that flickered ominously. Repairing this would require more than technical skill. It demanded courage and sacrifice. As Michaela prepared to engage with the volatile core, she felt a surge of determination flood through her. This was her moment to prove not only to Eric's Kale, but to herself and the galaxy that greatness could arise from the humblest beginnings. The night air was thick with anticipation as she began the delicate work of stabilizing the reactor, a task that would test the limits of her knowledge, instincts, and resolve. The fate of the celestial phoenix, and perhaps her own future, hung in the balance, and every breath she took was a step into the unknown. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where towering cities of glass and steel stretched toward alien suns and starships streaked like comets between shimmering worlds, the lines between wealth and want were as stark and unforgiving as the void itself. On Ardentis Prime, one of the galaxy's richest planets, the elite lived in crystal towers that pierced the heavens, their lives cushioned by unimaginable technology and luxury. Below, in the endless sprawl of neon-lit slums and dusty industrial sectors, the air was thick with the scent of fuel, sweat, and rust. Here, survival was a daily grind, a test of grit and ingenuity that shaped the lives of millions who kept the gears of the star economy turning but remained unseen by the gilded few. In one such forgotten corner of Ardentis Prime, nestled between roaring factories and crumbling old docks, was a modest workshop that belonged to Yarrick Ruin, a mechanic whose hands had healed everything from rusted hover carts to ancient starfighter engines. Though his tools were worn and his workspace cramped, his reputation among the working class was unassailable. He was a man who could breathe life into broken machines, and in his daughter Michaela, he saw a spark, a rare genius for understanding technology that transcended mere apprenticeship. Michaela had grown up in the shadows of steel giants and neon lights, her childhood a tapestry woven with the clang of metal, the hiss of plasma welders, and the quiet hum of engines under repair. From the moment she could lift a wrench, she absorbed knowledge like a sponge, deciphering complex schematics and dreaming of a future where her talents would take her beyond the smog-choked alleyways of her youth. Her hands, nimble and sure, became extensions of her mind, dancing over circuits and engines with a precision and confidence that belied her age. Yet, for all her brilliance, Michaela was trapped in a world that prized lineage and wealth over raw talent. Her family's name carried no weight in the towering halls of power, and her dreams were often dismissed as fantasies by those who viewed her as nothing more than a mechanic's daughter. But Michaela refused to be invisible. She carried a quiet defiance, a belief that skill and determination could carve paths through even the most rigid social strata. That belief was about to be tested in a way she could never have imagined. The Catalyst Corporation, a colossus of industry and innovation, was hosting its annual Galactic Expo, an event where the wealthiest elites and brightest minds gathered to unveil marvels of technology and power. This year, the centerpiece was the Celestial Phoenix, a starship whispered about in both reverence and envy, said to embody the pinnacle of starship engineering. Its sleek lines and gleaming hull promised a revolution in space travel, yet a catastrophic failure had grounded the ship, leaving it an immobile monument to ambition and mystery. Among the throng of spectators and dignitaries was Eric's Kale, an alien billionaire whose name was synonymous with power and audacity. Known for his sharp wit and ruthless business tactics, Eric's had made a spectacle of himself by issuing a challenge that sent ripples through the expo. He dared the mechanic's daughter an insult wrapped in a challenge to repair the Celestial Phoenix and restore it to flight. The challenge was meant to be a jest, a reminder to the crowd of the gulf between the privileged and the overlooked. Yet, when Michaela stepped forward to accept, the room fell silent, eyes narrowing with disbelief and curiosity. The daughter of a mechanic, standing toe-to-toe with the galaxy's most powerful, ready to unlock the secrets of a ship that had baffled the greatest engineers, her courage ignited a spark in the shadows, a promise that the underdog might yet rewrite the stars. As Michaela prepared to board the Celestial Phoenix, a flood of emotions surged within her, pride, fear, hope, and determination intertwining like threads in a cosmic tapestry. She knew the path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but she also understood that this was more than a repair job. It was a battle for recognition, for dignity, and for the right to claim her place among the stars. The ship's immense engines loomed silent and cold, a sleeping giant waiting for a hand brave enough to wake it. And Michaela, with hands steady and heart blazing, was that hand. Chapter 2. Into the Heart of the Machine. The corridors of the Celestial Phoenix stretched endlessly, like the veins of a sleeping giant waiting to be stirred to life. Michaela moved cautiously yet confidently through its labyrinthine interior, the glow of her portable scanner casting long shadows on walls that bore the scars of both glory and neglect. Every panel she touched whispered secrets of a technology far beyond the crude machines of her childhood, yet she met each challenge with a blend of innate intuition and painstaking analysis. The complexity of the ship was staggering. Systems intertwined in a dizzying web of alien engineering and experimental human technology, each dependent on the other in delicate balance. Faults lay buried deep within layers of software encryption, corrupted circuits, and physical damage from the accident that had brought the ship to its knees. Michaela's fingers flew over the diagnostic interfaces, her mind racing to unravel the tangle of errors that threatened to keep the Celestial Phoenix grounded forever. Yet beneath the technical challenge, a deeper mystery began to unfold. As she dove into the ship's central computer logs, Michaela uncovered traces of sabotage, encrypted messages hidden in the code, power drains deliberately misdirected, and security protocols overridden by an unknown hand. The implications were chilling. The failure of the Celestial Phoenix was no accident, but a calculated act of betrayal designed to keep this marvel of technology out of the wrong hands or perhaps to serve a darker agenda. The realization sharpened Michaela's resolve. This was no longer just a test of her engineering prowess. It was a race against time and unseen enemies who lurked in the shadows of galactic politics. She understood that the stakes extended far beyond the walls of this magnificent ship, reaching into the heart of power and corruption that sought to control the future of space travel and commerce. As hours melted into days, Michaela found herself confronting not only the technical puzzles, but also the isolation that came with the challenge. The ship's empty corridors echoed with the hum of dormant engines and the faint whispers of a past crew long vanished. She was alone, save for the steady, comforting voice of her diagnostic AI assistant, a program she had modified and personalized to suit her unique style. Through this digital companion, she found solace and a sounding board for her ideas, a bridge between human intuition and machine logic. Meanwhile, back on Artemis Prime, the world watched with bated breath. The boldness of a mechanic's daughter daring to tame the Celestial Phoenix had ignited whispers of hope and skepticism alike. The city's towering elites and media moguls debated the wisdom of Eric's Kale's wager, some mocking her audacity, others intrigued by the promise of disruption. Eric's himself was a study in contradictions, his gaze sharp and calculating as he monitored Michaela's progress, his usual arrogance tempered by a grudging respect that grew with every report of her breakthroughs. Yet even he could not foresee the full extent of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Within the ship's core systems, Michaela uncovered fragmented data logs that hinted at a conspiracy, a web of corporate espionage, political intrigue, and alien factions vying for control over the Celestial Phoenix's unparalleled technology. The ship was more than a vessel. It was a prize coveted for the power it represented, a key to dominance that could shift the balance of the galaxy. The glow from the flickering consoles illuminated Michaela's face as she worked tirelessly through the long hours of the galactic night, her mind racing with the complex dance of systems, codes, and intricate engineering challenges that the Celestial Phoenix presented. The deeper she delved into the ship's core architecture, the more she realized that this was no ordinary repair job. Every system was interlinked with layers of alien technology and secret modifications, some of which seemed almost alive, responsive, and adaptive, requiring not just technical skill, but intuition and an understanding of alien logic that she had only begun to grasp. The ship seemed to resist her at times, its ancient safeguards triggering false alarms and defensive protocols that complicated her progress, as though it was testing her worthiness to wield its power. Yet Michaela was undeterred, drawing on the lessons taught by her father and her own relentless curiosity to navigate these obstacles. She uncovered encrypted logs detailing covert operations and betrayals within the upper echelons of the Catalyst Corporation and beyond, revealing a tangled web of corporate espionage and interstellar politics that threatened to tear the galaxy apart. As the ship gradually came back online, a storm brewed beyond the gleaming walls of the hangar. rival factions, threatened by the potential resurgence of the Celestial Phoenix and the unknown talents of the mechanic's daughter, began to move in shadows. Saboteurs attempted to infiltrate the ship's systems remotely, while mercenaries lurked near the docks, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Michaela found herself fighting not only to restore the ship, but to protect it and herself from forces far more dangerous than malfunctioning circuits. The once dismissive crowd that had gathered now watched in awe and disbelief as the ship's engines hummed to life, as systems flickered from black to vibrant displays, and as the aura of power surrounding the Celestial Phoenix grew palpable. Eric's Kale, the billionaire who had issued the dare with a smirk of superiority, found himself watching with a mixture of astonishment and grudging respect. His arrogance began to crack as Michaela, with her hands steady and her mind sharp, peeled back layers of complexity that even his most trusted engineers had failed to unravel. The tension in the air was electric, a moment suspended between doubt and belief, between the old world of power and the new dawn forged by unlikely hands. As the final repairs neared completion, Michaela faced the ship's heart, the primary fusion reactor, a swirling nexus of energy that powered every system and weapon aboard. The reactor was unstable, its core damaged and dangerously volatile. Repairing it required precision, courage, and a willingness to gamble everything on a delicate balance between failure and triumph. Alone in the reactor chamber, Michaela's fingers worked with practiced grace, rerouting plasma conduits and stabilizing energy flows. The ship trembled beneath her, as if sensing the stakes of this moment. Outside, the galaxy held its breath, awaiting the verdict of the mechanic's daughter and the fate of the legendary Celestial Phoenix. As the reactor stabilized and the ship's engines roared to life with a power that reverberated through the hangar, Michaela stood tall, a beacon of resilience and brilliance that left even the most skeptical observers, billionaires and commoners alike, speechless. The challenge had been met, but the journey was far from over. The Celestial Phoenix was awake, and the galaxy would never be the same. Chapter 3: The Billionaire's Reckoning. The transformation of the Celestial Phoenix from a silent behemoth into a living, breathing warship was nothing short of miraculous, and Michaela Wren stood at the epicenter of this metamorphosis, a mechanic's daughter who had defied expectations and rewritten the rules of power. The corridors that once echoed with silence now hummed with energy, the ship's systems synchronized in a symphony of restored technology and renewed purpose. Michaela's reputation had spread like wildfire, turning heads not only among the working class who saw her as a symbol of hope, but also among the galactic elite, who found themselves forced to reckon with a new force rising from the shadows. Eric's Kale's demeanor had shifted dramatically from amused skeptic to cautious strategist. The billionaire, accustomed to wielding influence through wealth and intimidation, now faced an opponent whose brilliance could not be bought or bargained with. In private chambers overlooking the cityscape, Eric's contemplated the implications of Michaela's success. His empire, built on control of cutting-edge technology and corporate alliances, was suddenly vulnerable to a young woman whose ingenuity and determination threatened to topple established power structures. As Michaela prepared the Celestial Phoenix for its maiden voyage, whispers of rebellion and revolution stirred across star systems long oppressed by corruption and tyranny. She was no longer just a mechanic. She was a beacon of change, a leader poised to challenge the very foundations of galactic society. Yet with the rise of hope came the gathering of shadows. Enemies lurked in the corridors of power and the void between stars, corporate assassins, alien warlords, and mercenary fleets eager to claim the Celestial Phoenix and crush the symbol she represented. Michaela knew that her journey would require more than technical skill. It would demand alliances forged in trust and battles fought with courage. As the ship's engines roared to life, and the first stars glittered against the dark canvas of space, Michaela stood on the bridge, her gaze steady and her heart filled with a fierce resolve. The billionaire's challenge had sparked a revolution, but the true test lay ahead, a voyage into the unknown where destiny awaited. The Celestial Phoenix was no longer just a marvel of technology. It had become a living symbol of defiance, an emblem of possibility in a galaxy dominated by power and privilege. Michaela Wren, standing at the helm, felt the weight of that legacy settle over her like a mantle. The ship hummed beneath her fingertips, a fusion of alien craftsmanship and human determination that pulsed with raw energy and untold potential. Every system she had painstakingly repaired sang in harmony, from the fusion reactors deep within the core to the sleek navigation arrays that now scanned the starfield with renewed precision. But the grandeur of her success was tempered by the stark reality that awaited beyond the gleaming hull. The galaxy was a tempest of shifting alliances, hidden agendas, and simmering conflicts, where the rise of a single starship could ignite fires of war or inspire revolutions of hope. Michaela understood that her challenge had evolved from a daring repair job to a battle for the soul of the cosmos itself. The corridors of the Celestial Phoenix were alive with activity, a diverse crew of engineers, tacticians, and freedom fighters drawn from scattered worlds, each bringing their own stories, scars, and hopes. They looked to Michaela not just as a captain, but as a beacon, a testament that even those born in the shadows could rise to shape the destiny of stars. Yet trust was a fragile commodity. Within the ship's ranks and in the broader galaxy, whispers of dissent and betrayal lurked like shadows waiting to strike. Michaela had learned that the true battles were not only fought with lasers and shields, but with diplomacy, intuition, and sometimes hard sacrifices. Meanwhile, Eric's Kale, once amused and dismissive, was now a man transformed by respect and wary calculation. His empire of wealth and influence faced an unprecedented challenge in the form of a mechanic's daughter who had rewritten the rules of power through sheer skill and unyielding will. In private chambers adorned with hollow projections of distant systems and financial networks, Eric's plotted his next moves, seeking to understand how to counter a force that defied his control. But even he could not deny the undeniable truth. Michaela was no ordinary adversary. As the Celestial Phoenix prepared to embark on its maiden voyage, a fragile coalition of allies gathered to stand with Michaela. Rebel factions, displaced planetary leaders, and visionary scientists pledged their support, drawn by the promise of a new era. The ship's mission extended beyond survival. It was a quest to dismantle corruption, to restore balance, and to ignite a spark of hope in worlds long shackled by tyranny. As the engines flared to life, propelling the ship away from Ardentis Prime and into the uncharted reaches of space, Michaela felt a surge of exhilaration tempered by a solemn awareness of the challenges ahead. The path was uncertain, fraught with danger, but also ripe with opportunity. She was no longer the mechanic's daughter who had accepted a dare. She was a captain leading a revolution, a symbol of what was possible when courage met destiny. The stars stretched before her like an endless ocean of possibilities, each one a beacon lighting the way to a future yet to be written. The galaxy watched with bated breath, for the voyage of the Celestial Phoenix was only the beginning, and the story of Michaela Run was far from over. The Celestial Phoenix surged through the void, her engines a steady heartbeat against the backdrop of countless stars glittering like distant promises. Michaela stood on the command bridge, her gaze piercing the infinite darkness ahead, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders like a mantle forged of both hope and peril. Around her, the crew moved with purpose and precision, a diverse assembly drawn from the farthest reaches of the galaxy, each member bound by a shared commitment to the mission that transcended their origins. Their voices, a steady hum of coordination and resolve, blended with the soft mechanical symphony of the ship's systems, a complex, living entity that responded to Michaela's touch and will with almost sentient awareness. Yet, even as the Celestial Phoenix accelerated into the unknown, Michaela was acutely aware that their journey was shadowed by forces far more insidious than the cold vacuum of space. Rival corporations, mercenary syndicates, and political factions who had long thrived in the chaos of galactic unrest now viewed her as a threat, a symbol of defiance against the established order that many depended on for their power and wealth. The ship's diagnostic displays occasionally flickered with warnings of distant fleet movements, subtle distortions in communication channels, and encrypted transmissions that hinted at conspiracies woven through the very fabric of the galaxy. Michaela's mind raced as she assimilated information and strategized responses, knowing that every decision could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. As the days stretched into cycles, the crew's morale became a delicate balance of hope and exhaustion. Michaela found herself not only a leader of systems and strategy, but a beacon of inspiration, her steadfast determination a bulwark against doubt and fear. She forged alliances with alien diplomats whose cultures and customs were as varied as the stars themselves, navigating political labyrinths where a single misstep could unravel months of fragile cooperation. Yet the most profound challenges were not only external. Within the Celestial Phoenix, Michaela confronted the ghosts of the ship's past, fragments of memories encoded within its AI core, Athena, who revealed stories of betrayal, sacrifice, and ancient wars that had shaped the vessel's destiny. These revelations deepened Michaela's understanding of the immense power she now wielded and the heavy cost it entailed. Trust became a scarce and precious commodity, as hidden saboteurs and spies threatened to undermine their fragile unity. Michaela's vigilance was ceaseless, her leadership tested not only in battle but in moments of subtle intrigue and personal sacrifice. Yet, amidst the ever-present threat, moments of profound beauty and connection emerged. Michaela forged bonds with her crew, friendships born of shared struggle, laughter amidst adversity, and the quiet hope that together they could change the course of history. The ship itself seemed to respond, its ancient systems glowing with renewed life and purpose, a symphony of technology and spirit that transcended its metal and circuitry. As the Celestial Phoenix approached a contested system rumored to harbor secrets vital to their mission, Michaela stood resolute, her eyes fixed on the stars that shimmered with both promise and peril. The path ahead was uncertain and fraught with danger, but she embraced the unknown with unwavering resolve. The journey of the mechanic's daughter had become a saga of courage, innovation, and unyielding hope, a testament that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, a single spark could ignite the fires of revolution and change the fate of countless worlds. Chapter 4: The Dawn of a New Legacy. The Celestial Phoenix sailed onward, cutting through the cosmic sea with a grace and power that belied the scars it bore. As it moved farther from the familiar stars of Ardentis Prime and into the uncharted reaches of the galaxy, Michaela Wren stood at the helm, feeling the full weight of the legacy she was about to inherit and reshape. The ship was no longer just a machine of metal and circuitry. It was a living testament to resilience, a beacon that could inspire entire worlds to rise above despair and division. Around her, the crew had transformed from a disparate group of survivors and idealists into a family united by a common purpose. Each member carried with them stories of loss and hope, of battles fought in shadowed corners of the galaxy, and dreams of a future rebuilt on trust and unity. Their dedication was reflected in every hum of the ship's revitalized systems, in every synchronized movement that kept the Celestial Phoenix alive and strong. But the road ahead was anything but certain. Michaela knew that the awakening of the Celestial Phoenix had sent ripples through the fabric of galactic power, ripples that stirred old enemies from their hiding and challenged alliances that had barely held together. The galaxy was a place of contradictions, where hope and fear, light and darkness, were locked in an eternal dance. Diplomacy became as vital as firepower, and Michaela found herself navigating treacherous waters where every decision could tip the balance toward peace or plunge worlds back into chaos. Along the way, Michaela forged new alliances and rekindled old ones. She met leaders whose visions aligned with hers, people who believed in a future where cooperation outweighed conquest, and where strength was measured not by domination but by the courage to protect and uplift. These alliances, delicate yet potent, offered the Celestial Phoenix not just protection, but purpose, and a mandate to be a guardian of peace in a galaxy hungry for change. Yet Michaela's journey was not without sacrifice. The burdens of leadership weighed heavily, moments of doubt crept into even the strongest resolve, and the shadows of betrayal lurked where least expected. The fight for a new legacy was as much internal as it was external, demanding resilience, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to the greater good. As the Celestial Phoenix approached a newly liberated system on the frontier of the galaxy, Michaela stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars that stretched endlessly before her. Each point of light was a world waiting to be healed, a story waiting to be rewritten. The dawn of a new legacy was upon them, a legacy born from the spark of a mechanic's daughter who dared to dream beyond her station and, in doing so, changed the fate of the galaxy forever. The Celestial Phoenix was more than a ship. It was a symbol of hope, courage, and the limitless potential of those who refuse to be defined by their origins. And Michaela Run, once overlooked and underestimated, had become the beacon lighting the way to a future where the stars themselves seemed within reach. The Celestial Phoenix drifted deeper into the uncharted expanse of space, its hull gleaming with the soft radiance of power channels flowing smoothly after Michaela's meticulous restoration. The ship was no longer the silent, broken giant it once was. It breathed and pulsed with life, a symphony of engineering marvels and alien technology working in perfect harmony. Michaela stood at the forefront of this renaissance, her eyes scanning the cosmic horizon as stars shimmered like distant beacons of hope. The transformation she had ignited was more than mechanical, it was symbolic. The once dismissed mechanic's daughter was now a leader forging a new path in a galaxy fractured by greed and shadowed by centuries of conflict. The vastness outside the observation deck window mirrored the limitless possibilities that lay ahead, but it also whispered the dangers lurking in the darkness. Political factions once thought dormant stirred anew, their eyes narrowing as they caught wind of the Celestial Phoenix's revival and the revolutionary force it had become. Michaela understood that their journey was as much about navigating the treacherous currents of diplomacy as it was about mastering the technology that powered their vessel. Each new system they approached was a chessboard of alliances and enmities, where a single misstep could ignite wars or forge unbreakable bonds. Her leadership demanded not only technical genius, but wisdom beyond her years, a deft balance of strength and compassion. Within the corridors of the ship, the crew moved with a renewed sense of purpose and camaraderie. Engineers fine-tuned complex systems while strategists pored over star charts, plotting courses through contested territories. The diverse voices of alien and human crew members mingled in conversations that spoke of hope, resilience, and the desire to reclaim a future lost to oppression. Michaela fostered a culture of inclusivity and innovation, knowing that the strength of the Celestial Phoenix lay not just in its advanced technology, but in the hearts and minds of those who sailed with her. Yet shadows lingered. Whispers of betrayal and covert threats echoed through encrypted communications, and Michaela remained vigilant against sabotage from those who feared change. Trust was earned through action and shared sacrifice, and every victory was a testament to the crew's unwavering commitment. As the Celestial Phoenix approached a pivotal system poised on the edge of rebellion, Michaela prepared to extend her hand in alliance, hoping to ignite a spark of unity that could ripple through the galaxy. The days ahead promised trials and triumphs, challenges that would test every facet of her resolve. Standing once more on the observation deck, Michaela breathed in the vastness of space, feeling the weight of history and the promise of tomorrow entwined in the stars before her. The Celestial Phoenix was more than a ship. It was a beacon lighting the way to a future shaped by courage, innovation, and the unyielding spirit of those who dared to dream beyond the shadows. And Michaela Ron, who had once been overlooked and underestimated, had become the guiding light in a galaxy yearning for dawn. The Celestial Phoenix surged forward through the void, its engines a rhythmic pulse against the backdrop of a cosmos vast and indifferent, yet filled with the glimmers of hope and danger alike. Michaela Rin stood on the command bridge, her gaze steady and thoughtful as she contemplated the weight of the legacy she now bore, not only the intricate machinery of the ship beneath her hands, but the dreams and destinies of countless worlds waiting in the dark between stars. The transformation that began as a challenge, a dare from a billionaire alien whose arrogance had underestimated her resolve and brilliance, had blossomed into a revolution that rippled across the galaxy. The ship, once a grounded monument to forgotten ambitions, was now a symbol of possibility and defiance, a beacon for those who dared to envision a future forged through courage and unity rather than conquest and control. Yet the path forward was far from easy. Michaela was keenly aware that every star system they approached held its own complexities. Political tensions simmered beneath fragile alliances, ancient rivalries threatened to ignite, and hidden enemies lurked in shadows, eager to exploit any sign of weakness. Each negotiation was a delicate dance, requiring not just the strength of her ship, but the wisdom of her convictions and the trust she built with allies from myriad cultures and backgrounds. Within the ship's halls, the crew had grown into more than a team. They had become a family bound by shared sacrifice and unwavering purpose. The engineers labored tirelessly, breathing new life into engines and weapons, while the strategists pored over star charts and intercepted communications, preparing for conflicts yet to come. Michaela fostered a spirit of innovation and inclusiveness, understanding that the Celestial Phoenix's true power lay as much in the hearts and minds of its people as in its alien technology and firepower. Despite the growing coalition and expanding influence, Michaela's journey was shadowed by challenges both external and internal. Saboteurs slipped aboard in the guise of diplomats, corporate assassins stalked the peripheries of friendly systems, and the specter of betrayal was a constant companion. The billionaire Eric's Kale, who had once mocked her, now watched from afar with a complicated mix of admiration and wary calculation, realizing that the mechanic's daughter he had underestimated had ignited a spark he could neither contain nor ignore. Michaela knew that the true test was not merely in repairing ships or winning battles, but in forging a new order from the chaos, a galaxy where the voices of the overlooked could rise alongside the powerful. As the Celestial Phoenix approached the edge of a contested star cluster, Michaela prepared to extend her hand in alliance once more, hoping to turn simmering tensions into a coalition strong enough to withstand the storms ahead. She stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the swirling nebulae and distant suns that painted the dark canvas with colors both haunting and beautiful. The journey that had begun with a single dare had become a saga of transformation, a testament to the power of resilience, ingenuity, and unyielding hope. Michaela Runn, once a mechanic's daughter whose future had seemed constrained by circumstance, had become a beacon lighting the path to a new dawn. The Celestial Phoenix was no longer just a ship. It was the embodiment of a legacy reborn, a legacy that would shape the fate of galaxies for generations to come. And as stars shimmered endlessly before her, Michaela knew that this was only the beginning of a story that would echo through the cosmos, inspiring all who dared to dream beyond their limits.